Well, hello, everybody. What's going on? What's happening? It's your girl Tiffany coming through here live in effect. And I am streaming from both Facebook and YouTube. So, welcome back, Facebook subscribers, my Facebook friends. Well, actually, it's good to be back. I've been gone for a minute. Facebook had me on lockdown, so I'm back, y'all. But anyway, today I'm here because I want to get on the topic, right? And it's different from what I normally do, but it still deals with history. So I want to talk about whiskeys, distillery. And what do I mean by whiskeys? Well, of course, we talking about the liquor that a lot of people like to drink. I mean, some people don't like whiskeys. But you got dark liquor, white liquor, etc. The gin, the cognacs, and the whiskeys. So today I want to get into the history about Nathan Nearest Green. Nathan Nearest Green was responsible for Jack Daniels. And how? Because he was the man that was behind the scene. He was the one that showed Jack Daniels how to do a distillery and how to make whiskeys. So that's why Jack Daniel is popular as is today. And if it wasn't for Uncle Nearest, there wouldn't be no Jack Daniel. And it's quite sad because for the longest they never really gave him credit. So they thought for a long time it was said to be that the employee of Jack Daniels was the one that taught him how to make whiskey. But the truth of the matter is it was Nathan Green that taught Mr. Daniel how to do it. So, and also there's a brand called Uncle Nearest, which is a whiskey that's out of Tennessee that's under his legacy and his name. So, of course, it's black owned. And not only that it's black owned, but the person that's a distiller, the person that makes the whiskey, of course, she's African American. So, yeah, it's kind of hard to find. I mean, you would have to go to your local liquor store to see if they have an Uncle Nearest, but it's very popular within Tennessee because that's where it came from. And so yeah, I have my own brand. Voila. I haven't even opened it yet. So, but yep. This is the Uncle Nearest brand right here. And they have different kinds. This one is the 1884. Then they have another kind that's in a darker bottle, and it's 1856. So I happen to pay around like $50 for it. And on the back, it says this patch was created by B. Addie Butler. So, see? Nice brand. And you can also order it online. It depends on where you at because certain areas they don't deliver to, certain states they don't deliver. But it depends on what state you live in, but you can order it as well. All right. But let me go ahead and get started. And make sure you guys subscribe and hit the notification bell and share the video and check out my video contents and all that. And I want to shout out to my new subscribers out there. Thank you guys for tuning in, watching, and all that great stuff. Thank you guys for tuning in. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. So who was Uncle Nearest? Well, let's find out. Okay. Uncle Nearest, as you can see, that's a picture of him right here on the overhead. He's right behind, or he's sitting right next to Jack Daniel. I think this is Jack Daniel right here. I could be wrong. Okay. So that's Uncle Nearest. He's the only African American right there. So Uncle Nearest Green was an African American head distiller, more commonly referred to as a master distiller. Born into slavery and emancipated after the American Civil War, he is known for teaching his distilling techniques to Jack Daniel, the founder of the Jack Daniel's Tennessee Whiskey Distillery. Green was hired as the first master distiller for Jack Daniel Distillery, and he is the first African American master distiller on record in the United States. All right, and here's his biography. Sometimes in the 1850s, when Jack Daniel was a boy, he went to work for Dan Call, a preacher, grocer, and distiller. According to company lore, the preacher was a busy man, and when he saw promise in young Jack, he taught him how to run his whiskey still. However, in June 2016, the New York Times published a story identifying Jack Daniel's true teacher as Green, one of Call's slaves. The newspaper reported that historians and locals have known the Green story for decades. Green's story, according to the article, built on an oral history and the thinnest of archival trails, may never be definitely proved. A USA Today article published in July of 2017 corrected the nearest spelling of his name and confirmed that Jack Daniels said his correct name was Nathan Nearest Green. Documentation shows it was owned by a firm known as Landis and Green, who likely hired him out to call for a fee. Green was one of a few enslaved people who stayed on to work with Call after the Emancipation Proclamation. When introducing Green to an 8-year-old Jack, so Jack Daniel was 8-year-old at the time. Okay. When introducing Green to an 8-year-old Jack Daniel, Call is quoted as saying, "Uncle Nearest is the best whiskey maker that I know of." Call reportedly said to Green, "I want Jack to become the world's best whiskey distiller if he wants to be. You help me teach him." Green served as master distiller according to one biographer. Only a few years older than Jack, Green taught him all about the still. Known as Nearest Green or Uncle Nearest, he played the fiddle and was a lively entertainer. Green's descendants say this trait was passed down to his son, Jesse Green. Slavery ended with ratification of the 13th Amendment to the United States Constitution. In 1865, Daniel opened his distillery a year later and immediately employed two of Green's sons, George and Eli Green. In all, at least three of Green's sons were a part of the Jack Daniel distillery staff. George Green, Eddie Green, and Eli Green, at least four of Nearest's grandchildren joined the Jack Daniel team: O.T., Charlie, Otis, and Jesse Green. In all, 7 straight generations of Nearest Green's descendants have worked for Jack Daniel Distillery, with 3 direct descendants continue to work there as of November of 2017. Nathan Nearest Green was married to Harriet Green, and they had 11 children together: 9 sons, 2 daughters. 4 of their sons, Louis, George, Jesse, and Eli, are listed in the 1870 census. 7 of the sons and both daughters are listed in the 1880 federal census. The legacy. Arthur Fawn Weaver launched the Nearest Green Foundation to commemorate Green. The foundation is responsible for a new museum, memorial park, and a book about his life. In addition, it has established college scholarships for Green's descendants. In July of 2017, Uncle Nearest Incorporation created a whiskey honoring the legacy of Nearest Green, debuting as Uncle Nearest 1856 Premium Whiskey. It was created by working with 2 Tennessee distillers, but not Jack Daniel Distillery. In August of 2017, Brown-Forman Corporation, which owns the Jack Daniel Distillery and brand, officially recognized Green as its first head distiller, now called Master Distiller, and added him to the company's website. In October 2017, Brown-Forman added his legacy to his official tour and a large display at the Jack Daniel's Visitor Center. In September 2017, the Green Foundation announced the inaugural class of descendants receiving full scholarships to college and grad school to continue their ancestors' legacy of excellence. The foundation is funded by the sales of Uncle Nearest Premium Whiskey and the sales of Jack Daniel's official biography, Jack Daniel's Legacy. All right, and so right here at the bottom, you will find the reference. And here's the external link. The Nearest Green Foundation. The lost story of the slave who taught Jack Daniel how to make whiskey, from CBS this morning. Hey, what's going on? What's going on? What's up? What's up? What's up? So, as you guys know, my screen was frozen up. That's why I'm on the audio part. But anyways, that's the information about Uncle Nearest according to WikiOne. Now, I have some more source that I want to share. This one comes from as a matter of fact, let me show you the website, the Uncle Nearest website. So for you guys who are interested, who want to buy you some whiskey, I know there's some drinkers out there. So I'm going to go ahead and post up the website for you. So right here, here's the website. This is unclenearest.com. And the 1856 premium aged whiskey. All right. This is the one that's in the darker bottle right here. And then the small batch whiskey, which is the 1884. Okay. That's the one that I have. And I had showed you guys earlier before the screen had went out. All right, so you guys can go on the website. If you want to purchase it for yourself, you can. But there's certain location they deliver to. So I don't think they deliver in every state. All right, or you may have to go to your local liquor store. Anyways, that's the website. So here's another one. It's called About Nearest Green. You guys can see that. nearestgreen.org. All right, so here's a video here, and I'm going to play the video just for a little bit, just to see what they're talking about. All right, the video is 10 minutes long, but I'm not going to play all of it. Probably up to like 5 minutes.
This isn't a set. We're in Tennessee, in the hills above Lynchburg. I want to tell you a story, true story. Over 160 years ago, the sight of steam and smoke curling into the sky just around that bend meant one thing to the people of Lincoln County. And the man they called Nearest Green was hard at work, making the finest whiskey ever to come out of these hills. Took the same elements available to anyone else: earth, fire, water. He added generational skill, success, surely some failure. He put it in everything he had. Most of all, he put in his heart. He created a spirit, an essence. What Nearest Green did here, this limestone, that clear creek water, those sugar maple trees, he gave birth to Tennessee whiskey. The technique Nearest perfected of filtering his whiskey through charcoal made from sugar maple trees is still revered 2 centuries later as the Lincoln County process. His unique approach was most likely passed down to him from West Africa, where people historically filtered their water through charcoal to purify it. This single innovation in Nearest's hands would become the defining distinction between Tennessee whiskey and Kentucky bourbon. Friends and family called him Uncle Nearest, the first African-American master distiller on record, the founding father of Tennessee whiskey. His story went missing, untold for quite some time. Why? It's complicated. But what's important is that the truth has finally found the light, as it always does. Nearest's given name was Nathan Green. He was thought to have been born in Maryland sometime around 1820. We don't know a lot about his early life, but we do know that in the mid-1800s, he began to work on a farm here in Tennessee. This farm, Nearest Green was a slave here, and later a free man. This farm belonged to a man named Dan Call, a preacher. Well, Reverend Call wasn't only a preacher. He had a little side hustle. Yeah, a whiskey distillery. And Nearest Green was the one doing the distilling. The whiskey he made was unique in its smoothness. People said it was the best around. But this isn't just a story about a master craftsman and an innovator. It's a story of a friendship. Around the mid-1850s, a young boy came to work on Dan Call's farm. White boy. Wasn't a privileged kid. Youngest of 10 siblings. Motherless by 4 months old. Small for his age, but he wanted to work. And he helped the preacher out with whatever he could. But the constant smell of wood smoke and the mules and wagons shuffling back and forth up that hollow caught his attention. He wanted to know what the deal was with all that. Finally, the preacher gave in. Took him to meet Nearest. This is Uncle Nearest, he told him. The best whiskey maker I know of. And he asked Nearest to teach his new young apprentice everything he knew about distilling. Nearest took the boy under his wing, taught him well. They became good friends. As the boy got older, he started selling this special whiskey all around these parts and other towns, even to soldiers fighting in the Civil War. He was a natural-born salesman and entrepreneur. The 13th Amendment was ratified on December 6, 1865. And soon after, Nathan Nearest Green was a free man. That boy, young man now, he purchased Dan Call's distillery and named it after himself. And of course, he asked his mentor and friend Nearest to be his first official master distiller. They kept making and selling great whiskey. And during this time, for a good many years to follow, Uncle Nearest's involvement was widely known. His family became one of the most prominent in the area, well respected for their talents and success. And as his business grew, the young man built a new, bigger distillery on another plot of Lynchburg land. Uncle Nearest decided to retire from the game, but his sons, Eli, George, and Lewis, continued to work for the distillery, as did his grandsons, Charlie and Dot. And that chore boy, who came to be a brilliant businessman, never let his friendship with and respect for Nearest Green and his family go unnoticed. Even after he became one of the most famous whiskey makers in all the world. His legal name was Jasper. Folks around here in Lynchburg still call him Uncle Jack. You know him as Jack Daniel. Now, you know Nearest Green. This home, this bottle, this foundation honor that man, his legacy, and his future. Because he lives on. Uncle Nearest didn't just make
All right, sorry about that, but I hope you guys catch the last glimpse of that video. So evidently, the gentleman was giving a history about Uncle Nearest and Jack Daniel. So Uncle Nearest was a slave in Lynchburg, Tennessee, right? And of course, Jack Daniel was a young man that wanted to learn. Well, he was a child at the time period when he wanted to learn about distillery. Okay. Then as he grown into become a young man and was able to do for himself and be able to operate business on that level, that's when he started to build his brand. And Uncle Nearest happened to be one of the people that worked for him. As a matter of fact, he was a master distiller. So that was a good video. So now let's get into the article on this website. All right, I'm back, you guys. Y'all can see me again. All right, so let's see what we'll find on this website. As you can see, there's a picture. Okay, so Jack Daniel is the guy right here in the white hat. So I thought the older gentleman was that Jack Daniel, but that's Jack Daniel right here. He was the guy with the hat on right here. This is him. Okay, so this is in the early 1900s, and that is Uncle Nearest's son in the middle. All right. So as you can see, here's some more photos. And then goes into all his generation right here at the very bottom. So he has a long list of descendants here. All right, so basically most of the information that I read on Wikipedia is on this website as well. All right, but right here, it says that in Lynchburg, Tennessee, the name Nearest Green has always meant something special. His birth name was Nathan Green, but those who knew him best, his family and friends, called him Uncle Nearest. His children and grandchildren solely referred to him in Nearest in each of their legal documents. No one actually knows how he obtained that nickname, so we assume that he was the nearest and dearest to so many who came in contact with him. All right. And of course, there's a book published in 1967. It was called Jack Daniel's Legacy. All right. So the website is nearestgreen.org. So if you guys want to watch this video and check out this website, here's the website right here at the top. Peace, Chauncey. How you doing? How you doing, Chauncey? All right, and then I have a book that you guys can check out about Distillery. It doesn't have anything to do with Uncle Nearest himself, but it has something to do with the distillery industry. So this book is called This book right here is called Kings County Distillery, Dead Distillers. A history of the upstarts and outlaws who made American spirits. Colin Spallman and David Haskell. So you guys want to check this book out, you can go to Amazon and get the book, or you can also check it out at Barnes and Nobles and see if they have the book. Okay, you guys can get it on ebook, or you guys can purchase the physical copy. But here's the source right here. So it goes into the history about liquor and wine, etc., and the distillery and all of that. Now you have to remember, during the time period there was a prohibition era, and with prohibition period that means that alcohol was outlawed. So alcohol was considered as illegal. All right, it was illegal. You couldn't have any type of drink. So they used to have this underground bar called the Speakeasy. Speakeasy is basically where everybody go to. It's like a dance club, right? But downstairs in the dance club, it was a bar area, and people would go down there and drink all the whiskeys and the moonshine, which is like the homemade liquor, which you can instantly get drunk off of that. They was making all kind of whiskey and all type of liquor illegally. You know what I'm saying? So again, because it was the prohibition era, we talking about in the 20s and 30s here. So people was not allowed to drink. You was not allowed to sell it at all. And one of the biggest big time hustler in the 30s was Al Capone. He made his living off of illegal beverages. That's how he made his living. So at that time, alcohol was like crack cocaine in the streets because it was illegal. So alcohol was making his money, Scarface, that's what they called him. He was making his money in Chicago. He was a big time hustler. Okay, he was. Of course, he ended up getting killed at the very end. But yeah, but that came with a life too. You know, when you out there doing illegal activity, you know, crimes come in and take place, you know, as far as like the killings, the shooting, and all of that. So he was involved in that as well. But yes, so the point is, it never went anywhere. So people were still making money, whether it was underground, whether it was legal. And then after a while, when it became legal, like certain places, I don't know if they still do that now, but liquor stores would be closed on Sundays. They would be closed on Sunday. They would not be serving any liquor to anybody. Now, I don't know if it's still like that to this day. I don't know if some places are open or they still close on Sundays, but I know that Sundays usually is where the liquor stores wouldn't be open. They'll be open on all other days of the week except for Sunday. Or they wouldn't serve liquor or sell liquor on Sunday. Because, Sunday is considered as the religious day. Yeah, that's one of the reasons why. But yeah, I just wanted to throw that part out there. Now let's look at the first African American woman to become a distiller. All right, so here on the website, which is food and wine, which is foodandwine.com. All right, so as you can see, this is Victoria Edie Butler. Victoria Edie Butler. The first African American woman master blender is here to end the whitewashing of American whiskey. And this came out on July 13th of 2020, which was a year ago. And it says the story of how Victoria Edie Butler went from working as an analytical manager in the Department of Justice to being the first known African American master blender in the American spirits industry has everything to do with her great grandfather. Butler is a descendant of Nathan Nearest Green, the man who mentored Jack Daniel in the craft of whiskey distilling. Green, who was enslaved until 1865, was a highly skilled whiskey maker and indispensable advisor and distiller for Jack Daniel's now internationally recognized whiskey business. All right, so, and it said the erasure of Black innovation from the history of American foodways is nothing new. But in 2016, Jack Daniel's parent company, Brown Forman, formally acknowledged Green's pivotal role in the formation of the brand's signature product. The following year, author, entrepreneur, and researcher Fawn Weaver founded an independent whiskey brand in Nathan Green's honor called Uncle Nearest. Weaver intended for each batch of the 1884 Uncle Nearest whiskey to be blended by one of Green's descendants, and Butler was the first one to step into the role. And it says that turns out that Butler has a knack for blending whiskey. The first batch she blended went on to win several awards and quickly sold out. I don't want to sound like I'm bragging or anything, but I did a good job, Butler said in a phone interview. I picked according to my palate, and it felt pretty natural for me, oddly enough. Butler's success led to another batch and to a new title, Master Blender, the first Black woman to have held the role for a whiskey company, as far as Weaver and Butler have been able to confirm. All right. And it says here, it says in traditionally cloistered male and white world of whiskey, Uncle Nearest is a brand that is proudly Black owned and operated, rooted in the history of long overlooked Black innovation in the beverage space, and by its very existence, a refutation of the old narratives that whitewash the American whiskey industry. American whiskey marketing often centers on the drink's roots in Ireland and Scotland, or emphasizing its image as the de facto drink of masculine, dapper gentlemen, which are almost always white gentlemen. Centering the history and contributions of a Black distiller is way to question the lens that white historians and marketers have used to tell the narrative of American spirits. All right, so that's her holding that whiskey up. All right, that's her right there. She's holding that bottle. Okay, so skip on down. It says, even in the midst of the pandemic, Weaver and Butler have moved forward on other important initiatives. Uncle Nearest donated 300,000 masks to hospital, essential workers, and communities. In June, Uncle Nearest teamed up with Jack Daniels to announce the Nearest and Jack Advancement Initiative, a program intended to diversify the American whiskey industry and to introduce Black distillers to mentors, apprenticeship, and other resources. Okay. A key part of the initiatives is the creation of the Nearest Green School of Distilling, a certificate program at Tennessee Mountaineer State College. Both Uncle Nearest and Brown Foreman have promised $5 million in funding for the initiative. We are continuing to break barriers and be the first at things. Butler said, we have the only distillery owned and run by a Black female and the only whiskey that honors a Black man on the bottle. I'm proud of what we're doing. I can't imagine what the future will be, but nothing surprises me anymore about what we're going to do. I know this for sure. Whenever we decide to do something, we do it. I have enough to keep me busy, I say. All right, so again, this is her, and also on the bottle, on the back of the bottle is her signature. You guys can't really see it, but her signature is on the back of this bottle right here. Okay, so if you guys don't got it, you need to get it. So if you never tried it, I think you guys should, just support the Black whiskey if you're a drinker. If you're not a drinker, then you ain't got to worry about it. But for those of you that are a drinker, if you like drinking Hennessy, you like drinking Crown Royal, you like drinking brandy, you like drinking Remy Martin, Douce, 1800. If you like drinking those liquors, go ahead and check out Uncle Nearest. You know what I'm saying? If you like whiskey, some people don't like whiskey, but if you like whiskey and you want to, just check it out. Just support that brand because it's pretty popular right now. So, yeah, support it. And it don't even cost that much money. Like this liquor costs probably around like $50. I see you, Chauncey. Hold on. Look, Chauncey got his cup right there. I see you. Okay, Chauncey, I see you. But no, the bottle doesn't cost any more than $50. Like I said, you can probably find it at your local store, liquor store. You can probably go on the website. Yeah, this bottle costs like around $50. So it's pretty good though. I mean, a pretty good price. Yep. And it's worth the money. Yeah. I see Chauncey. Okay, Chauncey. So you're already in the game. All right. I got another article I want to present to you guys, and then I'll be done. I'm gonna close it out. So here's another article called Jack Daniel Distillery in Lynchburg, a visit to Moore County, Tennessee. All right. So author Jean Ridgway Bigger. The source is called Tennessee Historical Quarterly, which came out in the spring of 1972, volume 31, number 1, and it's published by Tennessee Historical Society. And you can go on Jaster.org. Jaster stands for Journal Storage. That's what it stands for. All right. So right here, let's read. Let me go ahead and read the first paragraph of this article because I'm not going to go all the way in it. It says, in our quest for facts and the tradition of Tennessee history, we should not overlook Lynchburg in Moore County, Tennessee. The Jack Daniel Distillery and the Daniel and Montello families, which have influenced the lives of so many Moore Countians. This visit to Moore County in itself neither recommends nor condemns the manufacture, sale, or use of distilled spirits, but we recognize that the Jack Daniel Distillery is the oldest national registered distillery in the United States, a nominee to the National Register of Historic Places, and a distinctive tourist attraction. The historical facts are that some of our forefathers did distill and imbibe whiskey. In the 19th century, whiskey was a remarkably compact, transportable, and marketable commodity, nearly 5 gallons to 1 bushel of grain, and was one of the most acceptable items of barter in times when cash was sacred, or excuse me, when cash was scarce. Nestled in the foothills of Cumberland Mountains, a scant 70 miles southeast of Nashville, is the town of Lynchburg, the smallest county seat in Tennessee, population 361 at that time period. If your imagination conjures up pictures of this romantic old place, you certainly won't be disappointed. A visit to the Kent town of Lynchburg and its distillery is an unforgivable experience. There is a warmth and empathy and an almost forgotten spirit of love thy neighbor, which is rarely found. You will find these things and much more as I did on a trip to Moore County. Okay, so as you can see, the article go further detail. It talks about Jack Daniel's life, and goes into Moore County, which is where Lynchburg, Tennessee, is located. Okay, so it's a very old article. So yeah, again, it comes from the Tennessee Historical Society, 1849. Jack Daniel Distillery in Lynchburg. And this was written in 1972. So that was a little over 49 years ago, almost 50 years ago. All right. So, anyways, that'll be all for today. And I thank you guys for watching my channel. Thank you for supporting the channel. And make sure you guys hit the notification bell, share the channel, share the video, and all that great stuff. Thank you guys for being very supportive. Again, I really appreciate that. That really means a lot. I will continue to bring more content on here, and I'll continue to bring more information that you guys can look up. So it's very important to always go out and do the research for yourself and do the knowledge, cross-reference, and all of that great stuff. So we have to get into a habit of doing that more often as a people. All right, but anyways, you guys take it easy. This your girl Tiffany, and I will talk to you all later. So with that being said, peace and power, elevation be to all of you. I will come back later with another video, and I will give you the title of that video, and you guys just tune in. Make sure you guys support the channel, all right, and hit the notification bell. All right, then. Take it easy. Peace.